This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so we are going to call the meeting to order May 23rd at 7 p.m. Note all counselors are here along with Ellen. I know sign-up sheets just got here late, so please, if you did not get signed in, make sure you sign in before you leave. We're going to start with the pledge, so if everybody would please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
I don't mind doing it. I have no objection to it, but that was never really brought before council
Okay,
and asked about. So I was just curious as to who made the decision and
so Sherry asked me and I thought, why not? So we can have a discussion right now about it and we can make a decision. I don't think it's a big deal and I've seen on other city council sites that they do it, so.
well, I'm not saying,
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not saying, I don't have a problem doing it, but once before we had a citizen or person, or I think it was a citizen, request that we do a prayer and or the Pledge of Allegiance or something else, and it came before council as a discussion, and they decided not to. And then, so I was just curious.
Yeah, any other thoughts,
I think that
discussion?
was, the prayer was the conflict there.
Okay.
Most places don't have a prayer because
Yeah.
it's church and state.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it makes sense with the process, but I also don't have a problem doing it, so I don't think you'll find resistance necessarily.
Okay.
We don't need necessarily to, I think it just generally would make sense, like, we're just gonna start doing something different, that we just have a agreement, if you need a consensus on it, and just work with it.
All right, are there any amendments or changes to the regular agenda? Did everybody see the agenda? None? All right, so I would accept a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Make the motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second?
Second that.
All right, Katrina made the motion, Ron second. All in favor of accepting the agenda as presented, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, passes unanimously. All right, consent agenda. Any discussion on anything?
Oh, the consent agenda. Yeah, well, we'll just have.
If you're online, please mute. Or I will mute you all.
Yeah, actually, we have a consent agenda, which is the, I don't have a printed agenda. I can see.
It's on the board.
Oh,
I put it up there.
well, no, okay. It's the, it's the awarding the DEQ Malheur. We have the bids, we got the prices, and you guys already went over, nothing's changed, but we need to, and Aaron, where's Aaron? He's back here. This is on the, yeah, we can add that, or we take it out of the,
Do we need to add it? It's in the consent agenda.
It's in the consent agenda.
well, then forget it. I'm looking at something else.
So if there's no discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Oh, I added, I changed the agenda and added it.
You did. Good job.
I was worried about that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I hear a second.
I'll second.
Dave makes the motion, Katrina seconds. All in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda passes. All right, so now is the time for public comment. So if you have something that is not on the original agenda, this is your time to speak, share. Please limit it to 3 minutes. And we'll go ahead and start. Go ahead, step on up.
The only just stuff now.
Yeah, I mean, you're not on the agenda, so it'd have to be at this point. So just state your name and city, please.
Shannon Adair, resident of John Day.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to happened to be in Burns, and they were talking about the July 1st deadline for the ordinance surrounding 815 about the homeless requirements. Are you guys familiar with that at all? I just wanted to bring it to your attention because I think
The
it's
timeline is
important,
short.
because your timeline is short. Basically says it comes into effect July 1st, and it regulates the acts of sitting, lying, sleeping, or keeping warm and dry outside on public property. And that if you create an ordinance, it must be objectively reasonable. So even a straightforward restriction of no camping in public parks could be challenged as not being objectively reasonable. So the city of Burns is creating or looking into creating a homeless, houseless, so that they actually can say, because if you don't have any place to send somebody that is homeless, you can't make them leave public property. So I think that it's important, so I think it's important that the city have something in place that says what we can and can't do in that situation. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention and make sure you knew that the deadline was coming up on July 1st, and most cities are creating ordinances surrounding that.
I have a question about the timeliness of coming up with solutions or plans, like this July 1st deadline, is it happening implemented ahead of time, or can you?
No, it's happening.
I know, but can we continue to talk about this and come up with?
Yes.
Yes, so.
Yeah, Jeremy represents numerous of these cities,
Mhm.
like he did with marijuana. He'll kind of come up with an ordinance that works. You
And-
don't have to rewrite it for everyone.
He's been
Yeah.
working with Burns on it,
Yeah.
so I think
So it'll work its way here.
I just wanted,
There's been some laws to that effect already.
I was just kind of checking on what we need to do in relation to that deadline or.
well, and I don't know if that means anything after July 1st, but as of July 1st, that ordinance or that House bill goes into effect. So if you don't have anything on your city books, then at that point, moving forward, you don't have any.
Yeah, in order to, obviously, if you read the news, to locate a place where you're gonna put these folks, that's a very public, can be a long process due to neighbors and concerns and things. It's not one you rush. And so kind of what's going on today will go on. You're not suddenly gonna have 10 people set up shop down on the street corner. So, but no, you would have to. In fact, I've only had 2 or 3 calls from Burns residents, and I had a call the other day from someone, and they were adamantly opposed to where the city of Burns was putting it. And so,
Well, I think some of them are opposed that it's going in because they don't understand why it's going in. So I think it's just important to
Have the transparency.
be on your radar,
Yeah.
have transparency about it, and have to start having discussions about it
Absolutely.
The bill
Thank you.
passed the House.
Yes.
in 2021. I mean, it ends taking effect in electorate.
I mean, okay, but it has passed the House,
It's passed.
voted on and everything?
Yes.
Before the senators walked out?
Yes, this
This
was
was
done
2
a long,
years ago.
yeah, 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
good hanging
it's just
around. for a
going
long
into
time.
effect July 1st. So
I appreciate you bringing
Yeah,
that. Thank
you
you,
bet.
Shannon. Any other public comments? Yes, step on up. State your name and city, please.
And Marlo, I just didn't, unless it's embedded in one of these topics, agenda items, I didn't see anything on R3.
So we have our first meeting that we will be attending Thursday.
Okay, so was it a month ago or 2 weeks ago? I think it was that it needed I think some people from here were going to speak with the 2 board members, the 2 cities. And if they approved us, then it was going to go to the 2 other city councils for those cities. Has that changed at all? And so those meetings haven't occurred yet, or?
They took them to their councils, and our legal counsel and their legal counsel have made some additional changes to it, and it will come in front of all councils with the changes, and we will decide. But our first R3 meeting that we're invited to go to and be a participant in is this Thursday.
So how did those meetings go with the council? What was when they, or not the city councils?
It wasn't with city councils, so it was.
Also, it's different than what was
Correct.
thought of before.
Correct.
When it was talked about in the last meeting.
They have to all go back to city council, but legal council is still going back and forth on the unanimous piece. That's the only piece that's going,
Baker City is added.
and Baker City has now been added as well. And so they will also change the piece. So,
So are we kind of in the same boat as Baker City right now?
well, we've been accepted to join pending the approvals
Of
of
the
these
city
changes.
councils?
Mhm.
Okay.
It will come, I think it's in July.
And we just got an email, that the 30 million is not 30 million and it's a lot less. So there's a lot of changes coming.
And I'm
So
okay with all that. It's just kind of,
we're still moving
do we
forward.
have a ticket to the dance? That's what I'm kind of,
That's not
This is
official
like-
yet, but I am representing John Day at our board meeting.
yeah, it may not be 30 and it might not be 4 cities. I get all that. It's just, are we going to have the tickets?
And I
Right?
can't
That's
speak
kind of
fully
what
on that until
Okay.
council's all approved.
Okay, so 2 weeks from now, we're helping what?
I don't know.
We don't know
I
yet.
can't give you a time frame.
All the
Okay.
cities are gonna adopt the same
Mhm.
ordinance at their next meeting, but it's when it's ready. If it's ready for our first meeting that we hold in June, it'll be there. If it's a second meeting, if it's the first meeting in July. We're not in control of it.
Yeah, it's a bit, right now it's legal councils.
Yeah.
So the 2 legal councils, the one for us, and then Burns and Lake, you have the same legal counsel, and then I'm assuming Baker's legal counsel is now gonna get involved as well. So it's out of our hands. We have shared, they came back with some ideas and changes, and so we're waiting to see the final product to be submitted to all the
So
councils.
it's not us saying we want these changes. They're saying
They
we're gonna
accept
make,
our changes with a
Okay.
couple maybe edits.
okay, it's good to know.
Yep.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely. You're on the agenda.
Right,
Is it
but
something
this a
different? Okay, step on
topic,
up.
if That's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Public comment. State your name and.
Paul
Thank
Smith,
you.
City of John Day. Please forgive my voice. I've had a sinus issue for several weeks now. And I'm pretty plugged up, but if I talk too loud, please let me know. If I talk too softly, anyway, so. I guess I just had a question about, obviously, it turned from winter to summer without a spring for the City of John Day. And I guess I'm just wondering about our city aesthetics. I noticed last weekend, I've been spending several days trying to spruce up the historic church and the Genealogy Society building. We had lots of tourists coming through on Sunday. They do a lot of walkthroughs from the Interpretive Center in Kamwachung and from the hotels and everything. And I guess I just wanted to make sure that so many people stop by that historic church and take pictures and make comments and ask me, when can we go in and that type of thing and look inside. Beyond that, I'm asking the council if there is a plan, and maybe you're way ahead of me on this one, but I've noticed that the pit stop area when used for parking, is there any signage in the plan, say public restrooms, public parking, that type of thing? Am I missing something?
We actually will have some ideas of the signage coming when we get our straws, some deliverables coming up. And so, funding design and doing all. So we will have a landscape design, we'll have signage design, and then there'll be a little more discussion on what they're gonna call it. And then hopefully all that funded, there'll be a funding source to do it.
Okay.
So, yes, it will happen.
Do you think that will happen in the near future or for this summer?
Well, I doubt that there'll be signs for this summer since June is coming.
Okay.
So, and our budget's tight. And so we will have to, we can't deficit spend, so we will have to figure out where all that will come from.
Okay, the other thing, I'm trying to be sensitive to the burn, but I had several people walk by, not to go downtown or to Main Street, but to see what burned. Are we have any plan for this summer to do any type of temporary cover or make that look a little nicer for our Main Street? That's one of my concerns. The other one is just taking care of all the foliage along the streets and our pocket parks. And I know when I've talked to Monty before he retired, I would be happy to try to go down and spruce up the pocket parks with city's permission, Casey's permission. I know there's a lot on the plate, and I know the Public Works have a lot of priorities, that are probably more important. I had business in Burns off last Thursday and again on Monday, and I was just impressed on how clean the city Main Street looked and the trees, and I was just impressed. I would still like people to come in here and want to stop. I want our city, I've always wanted our city to be very attractive and clean. And we've got so much on our plate, and I'm sensitive to that. But I think the aesthetics for people coming in are really important still, even though they're the little things. I also have talked to people that would be willing to help on a volunteer basis for cleanup and that type of thing. So I guess I'm just making it just a request that we always keep that in mind. I want our city to be attractive. I want people to stop and do business with our businesses and enjoy our amenities and enjoy our landmarks and our historic sites. So anyway, thank you.
Any other public comments? Yes, step on up, state your name and city, please.
John Miley, John Day. I just want the pit stop. Are you guys done with that? I mean, that rock wall out front looks kind of shaky. And the fence looks like Ray Charles did it. Painted it. Pretty sad. It's not quite done. That's my comment on that. But has there been any talk about the police department here? 45% of the calls are for John Day, for the sheriff's office. With their budget, I don't think they can handle what's going on. So have you guys talked about it? Are we gonna do anything with it?
Talk has happened. That's about it right now, but looking at budgets, we don't know.
Well, how can you expect the sheriff's department to do it when they don't have the budget to do it?
It's a vicious cycle that a lot of us are dealing with right now, and so we're trying to work. I know Rick has met with the county multiple times, trying to make possibilities maybe, but final numbers, final talk has not happened.
Okay. And what about the sign? I talked to Casey once before about it. He told me the bridge there on 3rd Avenue is way overbuilt, so there's not a problem with the trucks going over that. But as anybody can see that travels down there, you can see the roads getting all chewed up. And I understand the signs were put up because the people that live on that street don't want big trucks going up and down it. Why isn't the code enforcement officer doing her job and taking care of that? They say no trucks, 15 ton. I mean, why are they sending 100,000 pound rigs down there? Doesn't make any sense to me, and tearing the road all up.
Okay, duly noted, and we will check into that. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Is there any other public comments? Yes.
I would just like to try all on there for the wastewater treatment plant, if I can comment on that subject.
Yes, absolutely. Let me double check with online that there's nobody. If you would like to speak online, please raise your hand. All right, closing out public comment. So Paul Smith, you are up.
Paul Smith, City of John Day, and past city councilor from 2013 to 2022. I'll get right to the point. You have a busy agenda, a lot on your plate, and I'm sensitive to that, but I really wanted to address this. In your last council meeting, you had a topic, an agenda item where you guys were talking priorities about the wastewater treatment plant. Whether this is what I heard online, and I'm not sure if it's exactly what I heard, but I haven't been hearing real well lately. But anyway, you guys were talking about priorities, and that obviously the wastewater treatment plant needed to be a high priority. I would highly recommend that it be the first priority of the council and the city. It has to be. It's not an option, it's a must. The sewer treatment plant could fail tomorrow, and we all know what that might mean. Let me give a little bit of context of why I'm so passionate with this subject and this project. You mentioned, I believe, that for this project to keep its momentum and to sustain its momentum, we needed a ramrod again. Is that correct? Without saying exactly your words, but
Well, I mean, you have to treat it like it's a priority, and you have to keep at it, keep rolling along and pushing if that's what you need. Is that ramrodding it?
yeah, we need an agent. We need someone.
Yeah, well, it was broader than that. It was about having a engineer of record that works on behalf of John Day. And that's broader for all kinds of things like the street project that our crews were looking at today.
Okay.
So, but, yeah.
Similar, okay.
Yes.
I would implore the council to make it the wastewater treatment plant its first priority as far as priorities and actionable lists, either short-term and long-term. And I would also say that I would like to see a motion tonight to hire a project manager for the sewer treatment project, which includes the companion projects of the solar array and the purple pipe water line. All of that has been engineered. I want to add context to the sense of how did we get here to this point from way back. In 2013, when I joined the council, our project was getting the fire station built, obviously right here. And we got that done. But in 2014 and 15, we looked at our goals. We looked at our priorities. What did we need the most? We'd already known that the sewer treatment plant was out of permit for umpteen years. And we also knew it was failing. It was crumbling. We'd heard that from our treatment plant operators. We'd heard it from our public works directors. We knew we had to get on the stick. In 2015, our current manager retired, and we hired a new city manager. His first efforts, Nick Green, was on the stick right away, and we got the project going. I would like to quote out of an article that the city council wrote as a guest commentary to the Blue Mountain Eagle, May of 2021. Quote, 4 years ago, we recognized we could no longer continue to operate the way we used to. Too few homes were being built. The age and condition of our housing stock and infrastructure was deteriorating, and without a deliberate change in our policies and procedures, we were going to continue losing ground. We realized we had to do things differently. We needed to run the city more like a business. We had to get leaner, more efficient, and more strategic in our investment decisions. We had to start looking further down the road at what was coming next so we would be better prepared. We needed to act now to start repairing our core infrastructure like our wastewater treatment plant and our aging roads and bridges before it was too late. We are pressing the envelope with the sewer treatment plant, and I don't want to lose the momentum. I'd like to just bullet point a timeline since we got started on that project in 2015. There's been many obstacles, there's been many hoops to jump through, regulatory agencies, DEQ permits, etc. And we're still fighting regulatory issues. But the bottom line is, for our communities to thrive, for our communities, including Canyon City, are dependent on a wastewater treatment plant. And to me, there's no option here. We've got to continue. So under the prior administration, we got DEQ approval on the wastewater facilities master plan. We updated our floodplain maps. We purchased land outside the new floodplain to have a safe place to build the plant. We could not build the new plant on the existing, where the existing plant is now located. We completed the preliminary engineering report. We conducted the groundwater quality modeling we needed for our DEQ permit. We got the DEQ awarded a permit to operate the new plant. We raised $5 million in grant funding to build the treatment plant. We raised $3 million in grant funding to construct the Purple Pipe network that will earn us money back on the reclaimed water and reduce our operating costs. Won a $100,000 grant to plant a solar array to power the plant and reduce our operating costs. We applied for the balance of the funding from USDA to build the plant. We won multiple awards from the state for our planning work along the way. All of those are factual statements from 2015 on. In an article that was published by the Blue Mountain Eagle in 17, quote, for the new treatment plan, DEQ will review permitting requirements for the new treatment plant on November 15, 2017. Preliminary engineering is slated to begin in 2018, and the project is targeted to be completed in 2021. So we're now it's 2023, and we haven't put a shovel in the dirt. Okay, so the question might be right now, and this technically is probably over. I don't understand all the nuances. It is such a complex project, but since then, what has happened? The Purple Pipe contract hasn't been awarded. The renewable energy grant hasn't been accepted. We don't know the status of the treatment plant project timeline. We are worried that our grant funds are at risk. We've already been warned if we keep delaying this, what will happen to our funds? So yes, I'm very passionate about this project. I just want to bring it to the council's attention that if we need to have a project manager take the bull by the horns and make this happen to completion, then that's what we need to do. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the appropriate person to do that, like or dislike, or politics aside, if he's accepted, if he would accept it, we need Nick Rain to run this through to completion. He's the one that can articulate this project to completion. And that's what's best for our city, in my opinion. So thank you for listening. I appreciate the time. Obviously, you know how passionate I am about this project. Thank you.
Shannon, Shannon had something to add really quick.
Yeah, Shannon, I would like to go in front of you since Paul acknowledged Canyon City Richards. Lisa William, Canyon City. also part of the city council in Canyon City. I was on the city council for the city of John Day. I know how contentious the relationship between Canyon City and John Day is and how long that's been contentious. And a lot of that has to do with the treatment plant. Dave, I'm sure you can attest to that with me. Are you aware that the Canyon City Council is talking about developing their own treatment plant? Do we have any communication happening back and forth between the two councils? 2 summers ago, the mayor and the city manager at the time came and presented to the residents because we were looking at a rate increase, a very significant rate increase. We're looking at another one, July 1, and none of us have any idea what to tell the 700 people that we represent as to terms of why, when this project can be completed, what it's going to look like, why their rates are going up. We use about 15%, of the use rate. Is that right, David? Ish. But
I don't.
our residents pay
remember what it is.
more than the residents of John Day. And that's fine. If we have to pay more, that's fine. But we are owed a conversation in terms of a timeline. Is that going to happen? Is this not a priority?
Well, first of all, I have had no one from Canyon City to talk to me at all, so I don't.
Well, 2 of your counselors and your mayor is aware that the
I'm
council is
just
talking.
speaking for myself.
Right,
I just,
so-
just so you know, and I haven't had a phone call or talk for me. The contract's good till December 31st, I believe. Yes. Yeah. So, and right now, we're not currently, we have not started any, I'm not aware of any rate increase discussions going on. It hasn't been, no one said, hey, we got to get it going. So, no, we right now are not talking about a rate increase, but so don't know where that's coming from. What we do need to do is renegotiate that contract. But I do believe that expires December 31st.
Do you want to start having those conversations with us now, considering our council's looking at opting completely out of any relationship with the city of John Day?
No, well, I would be willing to visit with anyone. I didn't know that they were doing that.
I heard about it in True Value a couple days ago.
I've talked to you, Mayor.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah, I would say let's reach out. Do you want to do it or do you want me to reach out?
Whatever.
Well, normally the city manager and the mayor went last time, right?
Yep.
Is that correct? Yeah.
To a meeting sometime. But, yeah, that would be fine.
Where is this project in terms of priority? Like Paul brought up
So can you give them an update with the latest?
Well, I mean, as we talked last time, it is a priority, and it's, me personally, I think it's the most important one we have, and we need to always realize that. You need to not get caught up with other things, because there's only the capacity. When you look back, we were just talking about working on the budget, but you know, you had a full-time Nick Green here, and you had Horner here last year as a full-time community development director, and you had Shante, the officer who had been here for years. And all 3 of those are missing to 1 part-time person. So, so it just makes it hard as far as time. When people leave and quit, there are things that slow down. There's no way around it. Now, having said that, the sewer plant it lacks a couple things. We do need to get an engineer to actually go engineer the plant. It has not been engineered. It's been some preliminary work about, this is a rough guess. A certain millions have been raised, but it's still short $6 to $8 million. So in order to move forward on that, you have to, we have to go through and work on some permitting things. Just this last week, I and Nick Ducote were on a call with the governor's office and other people. And they are, you've got the DFW is happy with one thing, Water Resources is happy with another, but the National Fisheries want other things done that we can't do. And so, but that's part of this back and forth. And so documents are going there, you know, it's lots of different pieces of this. And so our grant funds are in danger right now because no one can move forward. forward. It didn't matter if you got the money in the bank cash. You cannot move forward because you couldn't get a permit to do it. And it's because you got the John Day River. So people want to know if you're going to put water in the ground and it flows downriver and it goes underneath old mill sites, which this will. We already know the river goes under there, but we're putting more water. And at the other end, what comes out? Well, old mill sites have a lot of stuff. And we
Just to be clear, like all this stuff I already know. Like I was on the
Okay, well-
council when this project started.
I'm sorry,
on that
I didn't
council.
know. I
Like a
don't know
lot
what
of
you
that.
know. I didn't know what you
Right.
know.
Let
A lot of
everybody
that
know.
is- Thank you. A lot of that, I very much know.
Okay.
I'm just asking if it's a priority of the cities.
I'm speaking for me, it is.
Right, so
the priority.
So is this the number one priority that the council is working on? So you as a part-time employee, this is what's consuming the bulk of your time? Because this is a super serious matter for all residents, really.
I know Dave and myself have had meetings with Rick multiple times and made that our number one goal and issue. So for council, I believe it is a number one priority. We had DEQ here right after I took over. We had them in the room. They heard from council that we were moving forward with the existing plan. We wanted to make it happen. They were happy with us. We've been back and forth conversations between Rick and Nick and DEQ, Rick and Nick and Fisher. I mean, like it is a daily 10 to 5 conversations, email or phone, that I would say were going on in the city moving forward.
Okay, and the next step is to get an engineer to review the
But one of the
plans.
many steps, we have to work through this whole thing with the fisheries
Right,
as to, and that could take months, it could take whatever.
yeah, very aware of all of that.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
I'd like to speak on behalf of the great Jen. Okay.
Step on up.
Andy Day, I'm a resident of John Day. I also represent John Day Golf Course. Man, I guess I just don't understand, you know, we've had this thing in the works for over 10 years, or around 10 years. And grant funds, I thought were all funded. You know, nobody says anything that it's not. You know, you got all these citizens, you know, going out talking about how come, you know, this, and this is done, and everybody's hating each other, and they're causing hate and discontent somewhere. So if we got stuff that's going on between the fisheries and the ODF&W and DEQ or whatever, somebody needs to take hold of this. So I'm with Paul. Paul, we need to hire somebody in particular just to take this whole job on, just for the treatment plant, and take care of it. And the second thing I'd like to be is, being on the golf course is why I'm here, is your purple pipe water. You have a distribution place to put it. You need a distribution pond to put it in. I'm willing to give you one to use. You know, if the city needs to own it or not, you know, they can lease it. We'll lease it to you for $1 a year. You got a place to put water. I don't know if that'll help or not. We need the water for irrigation in the summertime for whatever. So we can keep the things green. And the reason I want to say that the golf course would really like to have water, because one, it's about the only thing that you have to do in Grant County besides fish and hunt. Two is bring in tourists and you bring in new residents in the community. If we can keep a nice looking golf course in the community, you have a place for people to go and see and do things. So I'm willing to work with the city however I can to try to help this thing going forward. And some people, you know, have not necessarily liked Nick Green. I've not always agreed with everything that he said and done. But I want to have Nick Green start this project, get it going. And I'm also going to have Nick Green try to write me a grant for what I need to have done for me. Because I'm worried about water issues also. So part of your engineering on your purple pipe stuff, I need to know when that's all going to take place so I can discuss and talk to the engineers also. So hopefully I can engineer and figure out what I got to have for my distribution pond and ponds to irrigate out of and reconstruct my whole pumping system for the whole golf course. In order to do that, I have to have something from you guys, from your engineers, tell me, you know, this is what's going to happen. This is what we can do and what we can't do. So I can go out and get me some grant funds and I can finish part of the project that I want to work on. So I want to see this thing happen sooner than later, because from the looks of it right now, you won't even have the engineering done till the end of the year, which is at least 2 years later than what it was when we're supposed to start. So just to get the project going, it's gonna be 25, 26 before this thing gets done. So I just want to say, let's hurry up and get this thing going. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Shannon Adair, City of John Day, also previous city councilor. This looks like a lot, it's not. I'm not gonna be up here forever. It's just an example, okay? So I have the same concerns that Andy and Paul have. I also have the same recommendation. I think Nick Green is the right one to handle this particular set of projects. But I wanted to talk about why, because I really think that piece for the council to consider. The reason I brought all of this up here, this is the information that was provided to the city council on December 29th of 2022. This is all wastewater treatment plant information. This was provided to the city council in a public meeting, so the public also knew what it was. And this was common to be able to get this information anytime you wanted on the website and have it at your disposal to be able to look at it and see where the project was. I want to say that I understand that this can't be provided right now, but here's what's been provided. Obviously through February, there's a transition. I understand that. I am not complaining about that piece. I am actually not complaining. I just have a solution that I would like to present. Since January, we received May 9th, it said this, the review that was given. The sewer treatment plant is a main priority to council. There have just been numerous things held us back from moving forward, which is out of council's control. Okay, that is the information that the public has. I have more information just because I already knew what was happening. But someone that's just looking up doesn't know what to look at. This is all that they're getting. So I feel like that isn't enough. I also am concerned because I feel like the treatment plant, the Purple Pipe Project, and the solar array are being treated as 3 different projects, separate projects. And they actually all go together and supplement each other. We need all 3 pieces. So I believe that all 3 pieces are important. When you talk about the solar array today, I hope that you accept that grant so that we can get that feasibility study completed so that we can go after additional grant money and funding for the Purple Pipe Project, because we have to have that before we move forward on that. So what I'm concerned about is that right now we have an interim city manager who has come in and done some really great things for us that we needed to have happen. But you're temporary. Our new city manager is going to be new, whoever that is. So we're taking this massive project with all of this funding, and we're having an interim person try to figure out where it's going and how it works and dealing with all of the connections. And then it's going to be passed on to the next city manager, and they're going to have to learn and figure it all out, which slows the process down. City councilors and the mayor should not actually be the ones having to try and do and figure out what that means. This is not against Rick. It is a fact that Rick is temporary, and I don't think a project that's going to take this long or has taken this long from the beginning should be in a temporary position, because you're just passing it along. I think that Nick, there are some things I know that people are going to say, well, Nick caused division in our city, and we don't want to go back to that. But there's an entire population in our city that supports Nick Green. I want to talk about trust. Half the community are accountants, are auditors, are attorneys, all the financial partners that are involved in the capital projects, all of the government agencies, and multiple other agencies that we worked with in the past trust Nick Green. The professionals that look at the numbers and that have given our audits trust Nick Green to do this project. And you can see that because we continued to get grants, we continued to get financing. 15 pieces started out in the capital stack for the wastewater treatment plant. 15 separate pieces that come together. That is a complex project. And I don't believe that someone that is temporary and has all of the other things that Rick has to do is the one that should be handling that project. If you brought Nick back to handle this project, you would have the history, you would have this historical knowledge. You know that the people that have worked with him, he's got basically a memory like you can't believe. I mean, you ask him a question and it's there. He has the answer. He could move it forward fast and he could move it forward tomorrow. And he would bring you reports and you would have the reports that you need to be able to let the public know what's happening and to keep it moving forward. As an example, there was a, let me get to that, surface water monitoring plan and groundwater monitoring plan. These were due May 1st. And I don't even know if council knows that. I called Ron Wyden's office and asked where the treatment plant was. And she said, well, this was due on May 1st and we got it last week. I don't think it's necessarily anybody's fault. I think it's because this is a big project. And we can't let things fall through the cracks. If we hit a deadline that we can't recover from, we're in a lot of trouble. And so by bringing Nick back for this particular project, it's not a public facing, community facing position. It's not a community leadership position. It's nothing like that. It is someone that has the technical ability to make sure that we don't fail in this project. And I understand that there are people that like him and people that don't, but you cannot deny that he knows what he's doing. And he has the ability to go out and finish getting the funding for this project. It will take a huge headache off of your plate. All you'll have to do is get reports and ask the questions. We need someone permanent that lives here, that's going to be here through the transition of a temporary city manager, a new city manager, and then moving forward into finishing the project. Some of those deadlines are the end of this year. If we're waiting for a new city manager to catch up on this project, we're too late and we're already having to extend everything. Last but not least, actually there's two things. These are critical to me and shows a lot about how council feels about Nick Green. And of course, this is going to be buried because I want it right here. So in your packet that you had your group put together that's going out and marketing for a new city manager, there's a whole paragraph about the projects that the city of John Day is handling right now. And it's stated in a positive way. And it says that we've brought in, I believe, 42 grants at 26 point some million dollars from the previous administration. Nick Green did that for the city of John Day and the city council. Nick Green brought that, the city council moved it forward. That is being promoted as a positive thing and as a pull, as a carrot for a new city manager to come in. We need to make it, when they come in and get interviewed, we need to make this feel like it's moving forward and that this wastewater treatment plant is moving forward. We also have asked Nick multiple times since January to help with the city. Lots of people. I've heard it from consultants. I've heard it from financial people. I've heard it from counselors. I've heard it from, we had to ask Nick a question. We needed to get information. He has done it all for every bit of it. He does it because he cares about this community. I'm here because I care about this community. I grew up here and I care that this council can move forward. And I think this would be a positive way to do it. So I'm asking you guys to please consider and at least have a discussion about bringing Catalyst back and bringing Nick Green back to take this off of your plate and make sure it gets finished.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stefana?
I won't take much of your time. Steve Schutte, John Day. I was on city council for 16 years. Was the start of this project. I just got to where I felt I needed to let somebody else take over for a while. 16 was enough. But you as city councilors know that you were elected by the public. Your personal feelings for people need to be put aside. Some of you like Nick Green, some of you don't, but I think he's the right man to hire to push this forward. I think he knows the right people, he knows the right contacts, he knows what buttons to push, and I think he can get the job done and get it done sooner than we could do anything else. So I urge you to consider hiring Catalyst to push the sewer plant forward. Thank you.
All right, I'll open nobody else in the audience. I'll open the floor for council to have a little discussion and then we'll move forward. Directions that you would like, thoughts, concerns, share it now, please.
Well, I'll start.
Okay.
I'm not afraid. I agree with the citizens and past councilors that spoke 100%. I've been scared to death that most of our progress was going to come to a screeching halt or go backwards ever since Nick originally resigned from the city. We hired him back under contract for planning and the URA and a couple of the other things that we had hired him back for with his company, Catalyst. We were paying one person to do what we're paying 3 or 4 different people to do now. He's always done a good job for the city. He's never caused the city harm. He wasn't the greatest public relations person. I mean, which of us are all the time? I agree that we as counselors need to do what's best for the city and the community, and personal feelings need to be set aside, personal likes, dislikes, at all times, not just on this subject, but at all times. I do believe that he is at this point our best option to make sure that this treatment plant goes forward, gets completed in a timely manner with the least amount of problems created for the city. As far as paying for it, it can easily be paid out of some of the funding that's already there. As a project manager and basically just in charge of moving it forward. And I have no doubt that he would be able to also get us the additional funding we're going to need. I mean, this treatment plant every year goes up more because the cost of materials go up more, cost of labor goes up more, bully wages, everything involved in it goes up and up and up. And so if we're 1 year out by doing it this way versus 5 years out by doing it a different way, how many millions of dollars is that going to increase the cost of this total project? The purple pipe was intended to help reduce the overall cost of the treatment plant by the revenue that it would bring back in. The solar array was meant to, by design, to reduce the overall operating costs of the treatment plant. So those two pieces of the project are critical in my view. The city's goal and intent was not to increase sewer rates in the future, but by having these other two parts of this treatment plant was to hopefully eventually reduce sewer rates below what they are now by cutting our operating expenses with income, or whether we count it as income or whether we just count it as credit for like the solar, but to reduce operating costs. Because the sewer rates were set so we could apply for the loan that we needed to build the plant. So that's my piece. I think as a council, we've got to act now, sooner than later, soon as possible, to ensure that this treatment plant project, projects associated with it, move forward without, and nothing against Rick or even a new city manager, but to their point, it's all a delay. I mean, Rick's trying to get up to speed and he's working for us the best he can. He's only going to be here for a short time. A new city manager may or may not have the qualifications necessary to continue with this project. Another delay, another setback. We need to avoid that. Whether you hire Nick or whether you hire a different contractor, I guess is the other point, but he's got the most knowledge and experience and information on it already. So that's my spiel.
Thank you.
I guess that I would just kind of ask the council, do people have reservations about that? Or are there people in the council right now who feel that we should not do this?
I mean, if funding him or whoever can be done through, because we've looked at the budget, we know how close it is. If that funding could all be paid through existing funding that we already have, I would not be so reserved to hire someone to take this piece over. I know that Dave and Rick and I have had many, many meetings about budget things. And so budget is tight, tighter than tight. And so if there was not a funding piece, I would definitely entertain looking into some kind of a solution to get this piece moving, because just like they said, just like everybody else said, whoever comes in, they still are gonna need months to get caught up, and we don't have months. Like, we don't have it. We've already gone 5 months into this year, and so I would definitely entertain some conversations to start happening with any contractor that council wants to bring in, as long as the funding piece of that is able to get approved through Anna and Nick Ducati, that it would be able to be funded. Because I can tell you right now, budget-wise, it's not there.
Well, it's not coming out of the general fund.
Right,
Sewer fund's healthy,
yes,
but most of the sewer fund's healthy because of that project.
right. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to it, and I think it's a great idea. What we need to do with what we currently have and what we have coming in, we don't know who that person is, when that person's gonna be, and so it's gonna be, like everybody says, another delay. Whoever we do bring in, they're not gonna know, they're not gonna have and we need to start it weeks ago, so.
Has Cecil Engineering been working on this at all? Have they been involved in this at all?
This isn't there.
Who?
Cecil Engineering?
Not really.
This isn't really a project that would be up there. You know, this is a $20 million project that's involved, right?
My concerns are, and I'm gonna be perfectly blunt, when that position was vacated and things where you guys spent many hours in the office trying to catch up with things that hadn't gotten done. And I remember being asked at the first council meeting if we were going to go through with the sewage treatment plant, because we did not had the funding guaranteed because people were doubtful that we were going to take it on as a priority through rumors that had been spread. I remember invoices that went way back that needed to be billed out because they never were. I want to know what was done with the sewage treatment plant over the last 6 months that Nick was in that position.
Well, Nick's been gone for almost a year.
But he was our consultant and he couldn't step in and help with any of that because he certainly didn't help with CFO.
Planning and URA, I don't remember, there was a
Grant
couple,
administration.
there was a couple other things. And he was fighting with them while he was working.
I just want to make sure that
In the last 6 months, like I said, it's
well, in the last 6 months, we
the
know.
last 6 months, all that stuff that me and
Right.
Heather were taking care of was because the interim city manager was letting it slide.
But Nick had said that he was CFO, and CFO doesn't let things like that slide. I'm sorry. Sorry.
No, absolutely. This is open conversation. Any other,
Well, I thought we had Anderson Perry working on that, then something went wrong there.
yes.
And I'm not aware of what went wrong, but I thought they were working on it.
Do you have any intel on why no more Anderson Perry? No, not you, Casey.
I really don't have much intel on it, but all I know is toward the end, Anderson Perry was to the point where everything they designed and engineered for us was way overloaded, way more than we needed, way more money than we needed to spend on certain projects that I know of.
Well, I heard, I worked sewer treatment plant. Story I heard was the plan submitted from Anderson Perry to DEQ. DEQ just threw it back in the city's face because they screwed up so bad.
So that answers your question.
At that time, what the council was told too, they did not have the expertise to handle the engineering of a bioreactor plant.
Okay.
And so
Okay,
we went forward.
there's your answer on Anderson Perry.
I think this, I'm just gonna share my 2 cents.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, keep the ball rolling here. I think this is really important. I think that if it can be funded appropriately within our budget, if it can be, worked through the grant funding and the or the water fund, and we can have that funding appropriated, then I think that would be really, really helpful to hire somebody. And I also think Nick would be the right person for that. I think this fits very well with his skill set and his expertise and historical knowledge. I think that the council could go through a process if the council wished to, if enough people wish to solicit additional, people or companies to potentially for us, we could go through that process, but
Don't we have to?
Probably what you could
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
if you wanted to go down this path, it's actually probably a good idea, to be honest. And
Yeah.
partly because, I'm gonna be gone, and then when new person gets here, it takes them months to get, they got lots of other things to work on, believe me. So what you could do is have a person, usually it'd be an engineer, because they know the engineering terms, and that's what they do for a living. And they would represent you, they would be your agent. And you could go down that path. They would bird dog it, they go out, if you get the right ones, they are used to getting grants. These engineering firms, because remember, they make money when you get grants. So they are all over it, and they're very good at it. Now, you did hire Flagline. I'm not sure under what circumstances you hired Flagline. Exactly, that was months before I got here. And I've looked at his agreement, and and of course, you have a lot of projects going. So I'm thinking what you want is someone that's working on that project, not a specific grant. They're not representing the grant side of it. It's they represent, when you build a new big building, you hire someone that represents its owner's agent or, that type of thing. That's what I think I would.
So would our process be to go out?
We have to do an RFP, actually an RFQ, request for qualifications. And then you could have a group of the council could interview. We'd have to have that all put together, but it'd take a little while to do that. But at the end of the day, that's what we're gonna need. I've been saying for several meetings that we need someone that looks out and represents the city. Like Flagline, when I've asked him about it, one of the things he says is, well, I also might want to construct the job. And so what happens is engineers don't like to come work for you always because they want the big job, because that's where the money is. But there are engineering firms that say, you know what, I'll come represent you, and our company isn't going to bid on the job. They look out for the city's interest.
Is this different than a project manager for the water?
No, it'd be a project manager. It's the person that
We still have to go out and put up.
they apply for grant, they apply for grant, they review the documents, they review when the engineers that's gonna design the plant says this is what we think we should do. They've got the brain power because they're an engineer. They will say, yeah, but you could do it this way. This is technical in nature. None of us would be able to hold that conversation. So that's what I think of a project this size. And that's what's missing here that I haven't seen on the other big projects. La Pine did a $20 million project that started when I was there. And we had a firm that, helped get the grants and then follow that through.
I guess I need some background. We have a project manager on staff right now, don't we? That's his title.
He's part-time, yes.
So what's he do?
All of our other projects that we have going.
And isn't engineering done before you start the project?
The preliminary engineering's been
Yeah.
done.
What's the other?
There is a project, or there is a process, what they call design and build, very few people know about it. And I don't know if Rick, you're familiar with it or not.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that's what Nick had in mind for this sewer treatment plant, where an engineering firm works with a contractor, and they both help each other out to get their best product, you might say.
I have a problem, and I hear this from several people. What's wrong with just a little timeline to say, here's what we need to get this plant done. Here's what's been accomplished, and here's what we need to continue with. Is that so hard to do?
Yeah, it is. That's pretty bubbly, but yes, it is. It is starting.
Okay, hold on. I'm not gonna station. So my poor lady doing minutes is gonna hate us. So if you're gonna speak, please state your name and city and be addressed. Yes, Casey.
Casey City, John Day. I have to let Chris know that my senior project manager is not only part-time, but quite possibly short-time.
I'm sure he couldn't handle this project anyway, so.
Him and I, each of us know just enough about this project to be dangerous and get the city in trouble, and we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
I just thought simple.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I just like to know where we're at.
The man that knows the most about this project started this project.
This was 20 years ago. We were talking about this. So Steve will remember, yeah, you'll remember this. Yeah, we were talking about this with Anderson Perry.
Okay. So we're going around and we've been an hour and plus on this conversation. So I would entertain an action from council to move forward with starting this process. We need some kind of direction on what we want that to be.
Would that be a motion to present an RFQ? Is that essentially what you're asking for?
Ask the city manager to start working with that piece. Yep.
How do you put out an RFQ when you're not asking for engineering designs? So what
they're gonna do is they are going to be the project manager type, and they're going to go out and work on it from an engineering standpoint. They're not gonna do it. They're going to go out. They know the people in the business. It's what you want to do. I mean, if the fallback is that Nick Green, if you just want Nick Green, he's not an engineer. So, you know, but just normally you would have an engineer. That's just normal. I'm not saying you have to do that. You would have an engineer who represents the city on a project that is a bunch of engineering.
Well, there's a difference between having somebody represent the city as an engineer, cross-checking other engineering stuff, okay? That's not what we're looking to do right now. What we're looking to do right now is we're looking to put somebody in charge, whether it be an engineer or not, somebody in charge to keep this process moving so that we can get to the point where we start needing engineers.
I know what you're saying. I'm just telling you that normally cities would have an engineer do that, and there's people and firms that do that. And they do exactly what you're saying, but they are in fact an engineering firm.
Mayor Rooksville, I'd have a problem, since this was not on the agenda.
But it was.
It is on the agenda.
It is on the agenda.
Or just public comment. Where's it say?
Citizen
Hire
discussion sewer treatment
Yeah,
plant.
hire somebody.
I'm not saying hire somebody.
Okay, it just says public comment. That's all
Correct.
it says, okay.
I'm not saying hire somebody. I was saying if somebody would like to entertain getting this process started, we need some kind of direction from council.
I would like to see the council or rec go out for an engineering firm. I think that's the best.
So I don't want to, okay.
solution.
We would go out for an RFQ. We
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
tell them
an
what they have to
RFQ.
be.
Yeah,
You would form a committee, then of 3 of you, so it's not a quorum, and you would interview, and you can look at what projects they've done, experience. It can be, are they local? Do they have experience local? Have they ever done a $20 million sewer plant? Have they been around it? All of that. Then you will be able to decide who you want to represent this city moving forward on this project over the next, really, it'll be several years.
Okay, no.
Shannon.
Shannon Adair, City of John Day. I just want to make a quick comment about if you, in my opinion, the way I look at it, if you hire someone like Flagline, who is the engineer, there's a conflict of interest if they also want to build it, because they're going to be looking at how they're going to be able to make the most money out of it.
Right.
So
You
that's
put
why.
that in your RFQ that you can't, that's just all
Right, but
part of
that's what I'm saying, because you had brought up Flagline. So as someone, and if they're interested in building it, then that kicks their nuts.
Exactly.
And then the other thing that I would ask is that you really think about having someone local that's here, that doesn't know about our city and that doesn't know about John Day. So
Thank you.
was mine.
Okay,
I think we just needed to attack them.
yeah.
And that's all we need. We don't need anything special, just somebody that's gonna stay on this until it's done.
Okay,
But I don't believe it's on the agenda. So, we didn't add it, so the public didn't have a chance to comment because they didn't know it was on the agenda, or was going to be discussed. So, my personal opinion.
so do I have a direction to tell our city manager of which way you guys would like to go for the next meeting?
I'd like to move forward with it so that we can get this thing finished.
Okay, we need to give direction. We're his boss, so we need to give him direction. We're moving
Do
forward.
we need a time frame on how long we would solicit, or is that gonna come at the next meeting when we have?
Yeah, I mean, what I would do is see, I have to make some phone calls around, as you see kind of what some ideas of what kind of thing, get some examples of what. Now, one thing about building sewer plants, it's pretty common. And cities have the same issue all over to a degree. Some have it on staff and most don't.
I just would, my concern, okay, so just share my concern with this. I support this. I think we need to move forward with it. How much staff time is it gonna take to create this RFQ? And, and on top of that, what's the timeline for then soliciting bids and going through the whole process? Let's just make sure that we kind of streamline this process and have it not take a ton of staff time and also not take,
Ton of time.
3 months to actually get to the place where we
Absolutely.
are even.
And not interfere with the forward motion this is already going.
Right.
So.
Yeah, the stuff that's going on right now is those agency people, that's all moving forward. And that's just a bureaucracy that everybody struggles with everywhere. That didn't exist years ago. It just keeps getting worse. So that's going. we're not slowing anything down.
Just throw me a random, how many staff hours is it gonna take to get this thing?
I don't know. It's all priority. You just, if that's what you tell us to work on, that's what we work on, and that means some things.
Just how many, like,
I don't know.
hours?
I have no clue. But,
I think we need to just do it anyway, though.
I'm willing to tackle that and try to get that, because I think it's gonna bug you and drive you guys crazy if you don't, actually.
What keeps us
And I
excited.
think it is a good move, and, there's other reasons we could go down that, so I think it is. And that probably has led to this kind of wandering around for the last, when people talk about it 7 and 10 years, I don't know about why it wandered for 7 or 10 years, but I'm sure for the last few months, that's the case.
Okay, so consensus to have Rick move forward, process ASAP. Thank
I would
you.
like to make that motion that Rick move right ahead on this. I think we don't need to eliminate Nick Green, but
No,
I think we should have a couple to choose from.
or who, I mean, if there's only one that submit, like, we can't control who submits and how many,
Right.
so.
Right.
But
I
at
think
least
we
we
need to
put it
really
out
open
there
it up.
legal wise. We put it out there.
I agree. All right, so moving on.
Oh, we got a motion.
Is it a motion?
Yeah.
You made a motion.
I'll second.
Second, oh, who got that?
Elliot can have it.
Elliot.
Elliot, don't put that one in there, Sarah. So Ron made the motion to move forward with the process of,
RFQ process to find a kind of a project manager. I know what we're talking about.
okay, and Sherry seconded it. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right,
Did it pass unanimously?
yes.
Just so I want to make sure. Well,
I mean, it says on the agenda that it's the citizen discussion of the sewer treatment plant. I don't know what more would need to be on there.
Action. She's been putting, Rick is always.
I haven't been putting on here. Rick's been building our agendas.
Yeah, but
Action.
I think that, again, we talk about being a small town. I think you can adapt. It was on the agenda, and if it's an emergent, if it's something that everyone says is important, it's not violating the ORS. And so if it's that important, it is, then you do what's right and you move forward.
All right, moving on. Third, amended employee handbook. We have been doing this since July, right? July?
2008.
Of 2008. So way before a lot of our times, and I am sorry to throw this on you, but we have employees that are hounding myself and others to get this done because this is beyond any time frame that I've ever heard of. So you guys have been given it. You were given it to give changes. And now we're here. So we need to review and adopt or make any changes and
I have
yes.
one more addition to it that I'd like to propose. That something be put in there about no children in the workplace. I would like that entered into the rules for future somehow.
That's probably not the best place for that.
And where would that be? Because
I just think that would take a lot of pieces to it. And so, that could be added or amended later potentially, but I think as long as this has been going on, I think to try to wordsmith that would be, because the devil's in the detail of it. Yeah.
Could that potentially like cause employee to quit?
That's what I've been told. I question the thing. I sit there on the floor when I go and do business, and I said, what in the world? I've never seen that in a business.
I just thought we're trying to keep this professional.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't strike me as being professional when you walk into a city office and see kids.
So I would recommend, because this has been back to the attorney multiple times since 2008. And we have employees that need to get some other pieces that are, I'm not saying your priority is not high, please don't take it that way at all. I don't want you to feel like that, but I do know that there are things that have been, like we did give everybody the employee handbook to make recommendations and changes. I got none from council. I got employees' recommendations and changes and myself, but when I present it to you guys, gave you guys turn it back to us, I got 0. So I'm not saying let's not review down the road, but to go back to legal counsel again with something of this magnitude or changes, I feel like is unfair to our employees. And I personally know from being in the office as much as I've been in the past 5 months, that I can truly say our employees have kept us afloat for Dave and I's sanity piece. So I know that there's some things that we would like to probably see change in everywhere that we are in everyday life. But at this point, I don't think that that's the time or the place, but I would expect it to come up down the road if you would like it to be, but I have to go forward with what amended in front of us.
Okay.
Casey, would you like to speak on anything as you're the one that submitted?
I'll speak on it.
Yeah.
Jason Myers, Public Works Director, City of John Day. Just to be clear, the amendment you got with the amended Public Works Department on-call schedule or policy, it is a weekend policy the way it's written. Friday through Monday, at the end of shift Friday through the beginning of shift on Monday. The employee on 4.1 on the second page will be paid 2.5 hours per day on those 2 days, on Saturday and the Sunday that they have to do rounds at the plant, take care of the water reads. It does not say in here that the employee will have to carry the on-call phone Monday morning, but that is particular practice we do now. This is basically referring to the on-call on the weekends for compensation for the employees to happen to be in town within 20 minutes and respond within 20 minutes to any emergency. For example, I'm just going to throw one out there. One of my employees went on vacation. He didn't get back until Monday afternoon. He was on call that Monday through Friday, or Monday through Monday. Because he was on vacation on Monday, he loses his overtime pay for Saturday and Sunday. And to me, it's not fair to the employees. For example, if I had that same employee come out on a Friday night at midnight and work 12 hours, only 4 hours of that 12 hours would be overtime hours because he has to make up his 8 hours for his Monday vacation day. So the way it's stated in here is basically for the weekend, they will get 2.5 hours at overtime rate for the work that they do in the treatment plant and the water system on the weekends.
So just clarify for me, because I've been reading lots of contracts because I wanted to see if we were where we were at fair wise and everything like that. I have not found a contract for local or surrounding public works, either county or city, that it does not, your 40 hours does not count as physically worked. If you have like a holiday or a sick day,
Right.
And then you get called in on Saturday, you just basically get your sick time or your holiday back. You don't get overtime.
If you work a holiday, that is.
No. I'm meaning like if you get called in on a Saturday, but Monday was a holiday, Saturday is not overtime rate currently as we state. Okay.
It had been changed verbally and had never been changed in the handbook. That's why I brought this concern to you.
Right.
Because I feel that I have a really good crew and they work really hard for me. And I feel that if they have to take that phone home on the weekend, they need to be compensated.
I agree with you.
Absolutely.
Do they receive anything, like a flat for the weekend? Is that $100 a day or some number?
No, they get 2.5 hours per Saturday and 2.5 hours per Sunday.
Flat rate.
At overtime.
Whether they're called.
Time and a half.
Okay, so one of the big issues in the employee handbook, it says that City doesn't have to pay overtime for anything under 40 hours time worked. Time worked being you actually show up for work. Holiday and vacation are not included as time worked. However, 6 weeks sick leave is included as time worked. So if you're off sick, that doesn't count against you towards your 40 hours. But if you're off on a holiday, which the employees don't get to pick holidays, those are just, so you're punishing somebody for a benefit that you give them. Bad part about it. Vacation works the same way. I had this argument with Peggy when this handbook was done, and it stated those things, and it wasn't fair to the Public Works Department because they're forced to be on call and they're forced to go out in the middle of the night, bad weather, whatever, and take care of emergencies. And that's a requirement. They have to. So what we did while I was still the Public Works Director is we came up with a specific Public Works on-call policy. So it states it different than what the handbook states. So in the on-call or Public Works on-call policy, it says they will be paid time and a half, where there are 2.5 hours on Saturday and 2.5 hours on Sunday. And they will be paid time and a half for any actual time worked when they're called out for an emergency.
Other than regular scheduled hours.
And it specifically spells that out. So this being part of the handbook as an attachment, according to this, if they're called out, regardless of vacation, holiday, or anything else, according to the on-call policy, they're supposed to be paid time and a half for any overtime or any on-call time, any call-out time. It doesn't call it overtime, it says call-out time.
Do you need to, like, could you go through the process approving the employee handbook and then, having an approval process for the policy and how?
Well, the policy's already been approved.
Right, as long as there's not conflicting language, you may need to reapprove the policy if you've got conflicting language within the.
And I talked to Jerry. He sent me a copy of the on-call policy, and he says that, he told me that he was sure that those would address the concerns of Public Works and myself. And the way it's written, they do. Because that's a part of the handbook, so it's been attached, it becomes part of our approval process tonight.
I put it on the back.
Any other questions?
No, you're good.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dad.
Thank you.
I missed that was attached, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
But you were on the right track,
You were.
it's just there. I mean,
you were, good job. Any other further
Yeah, I
discussion?
only have one problem. At the very end of this, it says the policy is dated October 6th, 2014, and will become effective October 15th, 2014. I think that needs to be changed.
What's
If that's not a problem you have, Chris, I'm good with it.
Yeah, and one thing I really wanted to see in there, and I saw it, was sick leave that you could donate for people that don't have it. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they have to be on all their other benefits before you can donate to the sick.
Yes.
It was very, very thorough.
I would entertain a motion with that change.
What page number is it showing?
Doesn't show.
It's
It is,
It's the Public Works on-call policy. That's the one that's dated the 14th.
Well, we'll make sure we get the dates right. I'm sitting here thinking out loud, this is the thing, Alex, it's third amended restated. I wonder if those dates stay the same. And what you're doing is, which is dated correctly, effective July 1, 2023.
Those
You're
dates.
taking the old, this has got some changes, and that's why they say third amended and restated.
Right.
So I'm not sure, but Chris, I know what you're saying. We can
We can confirm and
confirm
make sure.
it, make it right.
The that this and all exhibits or attachments become effective,
Of July.
approved and become effective July 1.
That sounds good.
Okay.
This took, what, 9 years to be put together. And we have a problem with the sewer plant.
Yeah,
Can't even take care of employees.
correct. Okay, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the third amended reinstated employee handbook
Second?
Correct.
with the corrections.
All right, Sherry made the motion, Katrina second. All in favor of approving the third amended and reinstated employee handbook as presented with the corrections if needed, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, council committee assignments. So we brought this up at the last council meeting. We wanted to appoint or change if anybody wanted it because we added our 7th council member. And so,
And that list was, I went back and found some from a year or two ago. Those were the committees that I, if people have added others or changed names, I didn't know, but I did find some from a.
An interesting one here, animal control. We have no animal control in Shawnee, other than Hope for Paws. And there's no funding from the city for that, so that shouldn't even be in there.
okay, so Public Works, lowdown on what Public Works does. Dave, you want to give a lowdown on that one?
Gives a board.
Like water,
Sewer streets.
If you say anything is Public Works Department.
review, Ps.
Work related things, and then all the committees do is a lot of times they'll review stuff ahead of the full council and then come back and make recommendations to the council
Yes.
from what they've taken the time to review. So public works stuff is,
Public Works stuff.
RFPs.
So we just need the names.
We need 3. So is there anybody that is interested? I would accept nominations for
So we're
those.
basically saying right now, we're no longer on our committees, we're reassigning.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was on Public Works, I'll volunteer for Public Works.
Okay,
Yeah, and I had no problem staying on it.
I was on it, but I really don't want to be if somebody else wants to be on it.
One more?
I can do it.
Okay,
I don't know
Katrina?
anything about it, but I'll do my.
Oh, they teach you a lot, really. You can learn a lot. Casey and Dave will teach you a lot. So we have a motion, or I have a nomination to put, oh, I can't do it. Never mind.
You don't have to be that
No? Okay.
formal.
Oh, we have,
Just do them all and you can make one motion.
okay, perfect. We have-
Make sure they remember,
Make a motion.
it's under the charter.
It's up to you to appoint.
So I will appoint Ron, Dave, and Katrina to Public Work.
What? Let me ask you this question. This committee would then, someone mentioned about sewer rates going up. This committee would then talk about that and bring it to city council. The city council would say, hey, we're recommending sewer rates be raised.
I would assume that would fall in their piece, yes.
Just making sure.
Public safety. Anybody willing?
Volunteered on that one before. I didn't think I did, but then I
You saw your
remembered
name.
because it was related to fire department also.
Okay, anybody else?
Is there enough, since you don't have a police department right now, for a committee, just with the fire, for an actual committee? I mean, it's a meeting, commits 3 people. Could it be under administration or something? I'm just throwing that out.
Well, a lot of times they would deal with stuff like if there was questions with crosswalks,
Parking.
people from the community requesting 4-way stop signs or 4-way stop intersections, stuff to do with public safety, not necessarily,
The lighted up
Police.
speed signs.
Yeah.
yeah, all that,
Maybe Sherry.
those types
Does
of
Sherry
things.
want to be on that committee?
So.
Sure.
Just saying.
I volunteered.
Ron, me, Sherry, do I have a third?
Do we need 3? Are we looking for 3?
3. Elliot, so I would select Ron, Sherry, and Elliot for public safety.
I'm taking these down.
Administration. I would say me.
I can see another item, evaluation. City manager.
False. That would be under
I
admin.
know, where is it at though, as far as duty?
It's always fallen under the admin.
I know it's always
team.
fallen, but it says
Personnel.
personnel. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. So I'm willing to do that. Is there,
Yeah.
Dave,
Been on it, so that's fine.
Chris? Yeah.
Chris.
So I would, myself, Dave, and Chris for administration. Community development,
I'll be on community development.
Sherry, Katrina, Chris.
Got good relations with Canyon City and Grant County Court, so.
Perfect. So Sherry, Katrina, and Chris on community development. Grant County Digital, are you good with staying on Grant County Digital? Yeah, okay. I would continue Elliot on Grant County Digital.
Was just, that's a standing committee.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see
It's,
it.
well, no, it's not. It's one that they've already did it
Mhm.
before, but
It's kind of like the R3 board.
But those also have like renewal dates I think it's every 2 years.
got it.
Is there any others?
Experience in this.
Hold on just a sec. Let me get through all this and then I will do
Okay,
public.
do you do a 911 person or?
You're on the
I'm
board?
on it. I was appointed to it. And
Did
they
they-
made me secretary.
Ooh,
So.
you're official.
Because apparently you were doing
What's it called?
I know.
What's it called?
911 board, yeah, it's user board.
Elliot being on that.
Congratulations.
I know, buddy, Chris.
I have the time. and
Okay. I would,
if
Yeah,
that's
it-
okay.
It's been fine. It's been a one meeting, so it hasn't been a.
I would be fine. Chris.
Okay, that's real perfect.
Have our three listed on there with.
No, we
Oh, I
need an R3 and myself.
Okay.
Any others?
We could always do one if there's one.
All right, Paul, you had a public comment?
Is that all right to make a public comment at this time?
I'm asking you to speak, yes.
Paul
State your name and
City
speak,
John
please.
Day. What I was thinking is, we've got Commissioner Rao here, and he's been working on public safety for the entire county with the police, with the sheriff's office and that type of thing. I would highly recommend that the city appoint a liaison from the Public Safety Committee to directly work with Commissioner Rao and the county on that project, and then report back to the council if you so desire. Thank you.
Any of my three like to be
Who's all in that committee?
that? Public safety is
Us three.
Both Ron, Sherry, and Elliot.
It's
you three.
Oh, it's us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any of you have the time or the want to meet with Mr. Rowell and the county courts?
I would be more than happy to. However,
However.
if it's during the day, I have a.
You have an issue.
So does Elliot.
So does Elliot.
Well,
By default.
Good job.
I got all of
We call that voluntold.
All right.
What are we calling him? Or he's already on the public safety
Right.
committee.
Yeah.
Just be-
Yeah, that's fine. So maybe you two exchange
Just whoever's gonna go.
conversations. Yep, report back. We would love to have the county report to the city council on an update. Would love to have that. So, correct. All right. Do I need a motion as, there was an action, so do I need a?
No. Well, we took action.
Okay, all right, thank you. Moving on. 7th Street Park Area Intent to Award Project.
That's what I handed out.
Yes, so it's been handed out to you. This is, so everybody can be familiar, this is the start of the roundabout area and finishing the parking lot in front of the skate park. We've already gone to the school board. They've already given us the easement. That's all been signed. The funding is all here for all of this. We confirmed that today with budget. It's about $420,000 that this project is going to be costing. However, all funding is here and appointed to the right places. So it is just for you guys to award an intent to award and move forward. The school is excited as well as 7th Street Complex is excited because it's a safety concern beyond disbelief, especially when we had 24 baseball games and 3 high school games going on and no parking. So
I would move to accept the low bid of $422,187 from High Desert Aggregate and Paving and issue a notice of intent to award on the East 7th Street project.
Second.
Ron, so Chris made the motion and Ron seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye, opposed? All right, motion passes. Aaron will be super happy.
Yeah.
Question?
Yes.
Paul Smith, City of John Day. How far does that East 7th Street and into Tulsa, how far does the paving go? Does it go up toward, does it go north or just to the end of the East 7th?
It goes to,
I don't know.
it goes to the intersection where it goes up northeast Charlotte Heights and where it turns and goes east into Holcomb Ranch and where eventually it will turn and go south. to the-
So all that new road.
Yep.
You won't lose your car in that turnaround anymore.
Well, it's not gonna be. Just to that intersection.
Yeah, it won't be paved coming down off the hill.
Oh.
Yeah, just
No,
to that
just to the
intersection.
intersection.
The flat spot is 7th Street.
Where we turn and go to the well right, and right there at that four-way.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Casey. All right, solar array and hydropower, Department of Energy grant.
You asked me to come back on that, and since we're getting later, I do support going forward on that. And the reasoning is 2 or 3 things. Not that we need more to do, but it's a little bit what this gentleman in the back, and I haven't met you before, but you know, he said it, and one thing that I've learned in all of this after my 2.5, 3 months, I have probably about 3 weeks getting there, but this whole thing is a pack, it is connected. And that's the way that it was designed to be. And when Nick set this up, it really was. And talking with folks that have been involved, not city people, other consultants and numerous of them, they say, the problem is if you take this piece out or this piece out, it kind of muddles the thing up. And it could be done. But when you try to get money for the plant, the treatment plant, the fact that we have a solar array there helping, that's, there's a lot of money out there for energy type stuff. Having something on the cutting edge, not many sewer plants out there right now have something where they're generating their own electricity to run it. That adds another thing that adds kind of like when you got 5 projects to fund, it might bump you up for the treatment plant. So this 100,000, we don't have, this is gonna tell us what would work, what you need, and study, it doesn't build anything. But then the next step would be, we would go out and get a grant for that. But I think that we might wait till we get the plant engineered. It is helpful, I think, to know what you're building before you decide how you're gonna power it. But, and the other thing I was worried about, and we just worked on that a little bit, actually not that, we worked on something else, excuse me. I have been the last few days trying to find where I did find out there's about call it $30,000 worth of grant money required or match. It's a $100,000 grant, but they figured it'd be about 128,000, so round that to call it 130. If it's 135, we would pay the difference, but we do have enough. Nick Ducote and I were working on that the last few days, and just was about, when I got done with our meeting, he was, hey, I found it. When we went through and paid off the things in one of our grants that can be used for this, it's a sewer related grant. There was about 80-some thousand left. So it can only be used for sewer related things. And so we're good. So we have the match regardless of what our budget does, because it's not money you would use to do other things with. And the Department of Energy does want to do it. I've talked to the head folks there a couple times. They are waiting for us to decide tonight. If they want to move forward, let's move forward. And, we have to get an RFP out on that and do it. And Aaron, I did talk to Aaron, and I said, Aaron, would you be like the lead on this? Which is a little different. Nick kind of led everything, but let him be the lead. And Chris said, Aaron's capable of this. It's a good grant to do. We talked about it. I told him I'd help him with things he need, but I wanted to be the focal point. The emails, the phone calls go to him, and this is doing it. So I would support it, and I put down if you wanted a motion to approve it.
Any further discussion, or I would entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion that we review application and requirements for the solar array inland hydropower from the Department of Energy. For grant.
Second?
I'll second.
Wait a minute. Review and approve. Yeah, we've already.
Well, it says review the
Oh,
grant
that might be-
application and require.
Oh, yeah, we've already,
The grant's already been awarded. All we have to do is accept it.
yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's the motion. I was just interrupting you because the motion wasn't coming out like it needed
So
to,
if you'd
Chris.
like to
I'll
amend
change,
your
I'll
motion.
change this. I'll withdraw my motion
Okay,
and make a motion that we
Just need to accept.
accept solar array inline hydropower Department of Energy grant.
thank you. Second? Chris makes the motion, Katrina seconds. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Passed unanimous. All right, quick report.
Yeah.
I know.
So that's one good thing. You put them at the end and people just go through. Anything you want passed, put it in the meeting. City manager recruitment, the first, call it round of, it's open until filled, but the first review was gonna start, I think it's on the 27th, coming up here in too many days. And but people can apply, keep going. So we will find out what we have, what comes in, how many, and then we'll be coming back to you and say, hey, well, and they'll have, the consultants will kind of tell us the best way to move forward. If it's only, so far, but last week it was not a big number. And if you can count on one hand and you worked at a mill and don't have all your fingers, you could still count them. So.
Are you a politician?
He sounds a lot like one, doesn't he?
So it's, but a lot of people wait right up to the end. So I don't know, we still got a few days on that. So we'll see where that takes us. More to come down the road.
So
On
we
that,
share that information with the administrative committee, then they will come back and make a
well, no, we have
recommendation.
a consultant hired that's gonna, usually they kind of whittle and they'll come back and say, hey, no one's qualified. We'll let them, we're paying them.
Yeah, I know that.
We'll let them, but we can use the administrative committee to be the group that has like Zoom call with them and stuff like that. Community development director, we don't know, we're not sure that's gonna make the budget cut, so we'll just wait until we get to the budget meeting in a couple weeks. It's a tight budget, and so we've had to do things that probably people didn't really want to do.
Rick, quick question on that. University of Oregon has programs in this.
Yes, they do.
Have you ever thought about an intern?
I've not looked into that. I mean, I've worked actually for places that we've had that.
Just an idea.
Yeah. No, there are a lot of places that do that.
Yeah.
Budget meetings on June 6th, only June 7th if we need it. So, we got that, that'll be out in the newspaper. So we expect the budget to be all kind of done later this week, at the end of the week, and then we'll start producing and making all the copies, and then we'll let you know when it's available to come pick up your thing. And then the following Tuesday night, if we need another night, we put it on just in case it's needed, but you don't have to use it.
At 6 or at 7?
At 7. It's posted for 7. And then
Budget?
Hold on just a sec.
Okay, I didn't know when to.
Are you wanting to speak about budget? What are you wanting to do?
Kind of, yeah.
So you wanting to bring it to the budget meeting?
No, I just wanted to say something for 20 seconds.
Okay,
but-
can you step up? Yeah, we have openings if you'd like to be on the committee.
The best place to put this, because I missed my chance earlier.
Okay, state your name.
Okay, Cam Marlowe, John Day. So I was just thinking after that long discussion on the sewer plant, so I didn't think of this until after, but I thought, I heard that maybe there might be funding in the sewer bucket or whatever, the sewer plant
Contingency.
bucket, the contingency. But if there isn't, I remember you guys brought up a little while ago, maybe 2 meetings ago-ish, maybe last meeting, that you have that building, that pole barn or the shop that's on by the blue Patterson. Possibly, if you didn't have that and you put it out for bid and sold it, that could be your funding to get a very well-qualified project manager that can see this massive, massive complex project through. So just an idea
Okay.
that might
Thank you.
provide some funding.
All right, work session.
It's gonna be,
Yeah.
Heather wanted to have a work session.
So
Wait a sec.
mainly because of this hour-plus conversation over one certain item, I think we have a need for a work session. Work sessions are beneficial to us to be able to have open discussion. We need to have a motion or special meeting afterwards, we can. But our June meetings are so far not looking super full other than budget things. And so I thought we could do a work session for our last regular scheduled June meeting. So I just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention for thoughts. We would be close to month 4 for Rick. So thinking about how we're looking for an interim, possibly a new city manager. We would also need to talk about treatment plant, where we're at with that piece and all that kind of, so there's a lot. Dave and I spend a long time communicating with Rick all the time. I'm telling you, we are keeping all 3 of us very, very busy along with our attorney. So I think that this would be a good opportunity for us to bring updates to you guys, for you guys to ask questions, and for us to have a full work it out and figure it out type of a thing. So is there any opposition to this?
No opposition, I'm just not here.
You could zoom in? No? Are you on vacation?
Yes.
Nice. I would totally approve you being gone for that, because everybody needs a vacation right now.
Veto you zooming in.
Yeah, you're not allowed. Your wife would kill you. Yes, Paul, stand up. State your name, please.
Paul Smith, City of John Day. If I could approach the bench.
Absolutely.
My wife said I couldn't be long-winded tonight. Too bad. And I know everybody's tired and we like voice, but anyway, just thank you for explaining what you wanted to do with your work session. I had a chat with Councilor Holland the other night, and I asked him, I said, in the year that I've been absent from the city council, with everything on your plates and with all the transition, new personnel, new city councilors, have you guys had a chance to explore your, what I want to say, goals list? Do you have a long-term goals list in priority fashion? Do you have a short-term list? Do you have things on the hot plate, like i.e. the sewer treatment plant project? And the reason I'm asking that is because you're hiring a new city manager, you're hiring hopefully a planner. I think we definitely need a planner with all of the housing development going on, et cetera, et cetera. Reason being is, if I'm an astute candidate, then I'm going to want to know this city like the back of my hand as much as possible before I'm ever wanting to consider applying for the city manager. I want to know what your priorities are. I want to know what's on the hot plate. I want to know this is what's going to be immediate action. And I guess it would be nice to say, okay, I have a feel for what direction you want, what kind of abilities and capabilities that I need to possess, strategies, in other words. So I guess I was thinking, with everything else on your plate, another work session just to identify what does this council, what do you guys feel is so important for the city at this time? And how can you extrapolate that to your new city manager, that they can come in and not be so green when it comes to, okay, well, yeah, here's all the qualifications, here's the things that they want in a city manager, but where's my council at? What is my city looking for? Where do we need to go? And so I recommend a work session just to identify those kind of things, those strategies. In other words, public sector leadership, let your new city manager know where you guys are at, what your strategies are. And I guess I've also touted that for a long time, have a plan. And I hope, Commissioner Rao, I can say this because I'm on a roll tonight. But thank you, Sherry. The county received $4.3 million in federal money that to me was a gift. Fortunately, the budget committee put that $4.3 million in unappropriated funds for this budget year, for this next budget year. I think that was a wise thing to do because the county needs to have a strategic plan for the movement and future of the Grant County community. In the same way, on a more micro scale, the city of John Day, I feel like we need to do the same thing. You guys have the budget on your plate right now. We have the projects going. We have R3. We have a lot of stuff going on. I think that's great. That's the future of our community. That's thriving for us. But at the same time, if we can put down on paper and write our high-end priority strategies, our short list, our long list, I think it will help whatever you get as far as leadership, as far as a city manager and a planner as well, to know your directions, to know your wants and desires.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so am I hearing a consensus to have a work session on June 27th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, any additional department council comments?
Is that a work session with regular after?
If needed.
Needed.
Special meeting if needed. It'll be
Okay.
stated that way. And if there's action to need to happen.
I just have a couple.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You had your hand raised. Well, I'm not a rule follower anymore, so sure for it.
Sherry, what would you like to say?
Casey, have you had any success on the speed sign that we talked about?
As far as the electronic signs, no, we do not. That is an ODOT question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they will have to be within ODOT.
Uh-huh.
And so they'll have to be approved by ODOT, and after you talk to them, get it approved, then I can.
Okay.
I
So
had
we
to
have
get a chance to talk to Chris in Prairie, but I'm sure he had to go through ODOT, and then the city had to buy their own signs.
Thank you. And is there any possibility that the streets could get cleaned?
If you noticed,
They were clean.
They're cleaning at night.
Yeah, they're cleaning every night. They've started cleaning a few days ago. Yeah.
Oh.
They're sweeping.
Sweeper, so I'm waiting for
Yeah.
possibly the state sweeper. We have a little sweeper for the Bobcat, but our Bobcat is down.
Oh, okay.
A shovel and a backhoe is the only other way we can clean them up, and we
Okay.
can't do that during daylight hours because there's just, if anybody's noticed, there's just too much traffic in town here.
Yeah. Thank you, Casey.
Thanks, Casey.
Does the league, go ahead.
I remember. The 13th, there is a meeting on the 13th, is that correct? There's the 6th, 13th, and the.
That's what I'm telling you. I'm sorry.
June
I'm sorry.
Does the League of Oregon Cities still have a trainer? Put together
We-
your goals?
They have a trainer that comes in and does training.
They can do that for you. Actually have a training session.
So we brought in a training session with League of Oregon Cities when I first took on for all new counselors. I can reach out to her and see what she has to say, but I don't know I brought in a training for all counselors and all communities around us came. 5 of us came. So I can check into that if you would like.
If not, that's something that I have some experience in, is like creating values, missions,
Correct.
visions that as a team, not as myself.
Right.
I mean, I could speak for everybody, but I know that's how we want this to go. So if we can't find somebody that does it for the city at an affordable cost, I would be happy to kind of
Spearhead that.
spearhead.
Look at that. Look at you go. All right. So any
That
other?
would be best probably in September, and actually, I think having your manager here is a part of the discussion about what it is, where you're headed, because they need to help know that for budgets in the future and just for their own allocation of time. Otherwise, they come in and you come up with a list and they'll say, well, that was great, whatever. And I think, and the other thing is all these grants and things you went after, the things we talked about, the solar, that is, you're establishing priorities. And so, you established a bunch back in last June or July, so that's what drives us. So I think we're good. The only I'd say is so I sent the email on, we did post so I guess more for the public, that we did post the fire buildings downtown. We used our nuisance abatement ordinance and the attorney drafted. So we have started the official process of declaring those basically a public nuisance through safety and other things, and there's an abatement process. So if you go by, you'll see a little thingy that's been, I got those all coated up so they're ready for rain, and they're on the front and back doors, plus the tenants and the owner. The owner has a different kind of letter, has been sent to them, and those went out. And so that's kind of ticking. There's no like a set number of days. One of the things we're gonna have to do is appoint a hearings officer potentially. And I've talked to the DA, and I've also reached out to the Justice of the Peace, and that's something you guys will have to do. We might have to appoint someone. And if if this gets appealed, there's a whole process. And I was telling Shannon today down there, it's, this is kind of set out. It's nothing that's in 2 weeks this happens, in 30 days this happens. And, it's just, this started the official clock to people. They're on notice that they will have to deal with that building. And the owner did send us an email that he does not have insurance. So.
Speaking of insurance, the new cyber mill building
Are you talking about the lease agreements?
do you guys hold the insurance or do we hold the insurance? on
Actually,
that building?
I was going to mention that, just so you know, so actually, I did think that up. No, we have, it's through our insurance, we have an insurance, one of ours. However, it does not have fire insurance, it has liability. So if there's a fire and it burns someone else, but as far as replacing it, there is nothing to replace. Our agents have looked and said, because it's a vacant, abandoned building of old age, that they have tried numerous companies, high-end companies, all kinds of things that would take the high risk. And she emailed me last week and said they cannot find insurance other than liability, which is the biggie. We need that. But if it burns down, you will clean it up and you will, have a vacant lot.
Yep.
Okay.
Question about, we have two lease agreements on here. Do we need to approve these or do these?
Well, since they're not on the agenda, we can do that in a couple of weeks. I just got those from Nick on like Friday or something, and the agenda was already made out.
That's
So
fine, that's
you
fine.
see, look at those, we'll put those on a consent agenda. If you have questions, that came from Elliot and Nick. Yeah.
I have just one, R3 meeting I will be remote for because hopefully I'm still at a baseball. I don't know what I'm doing actually. So I will be remote for it. I will also I just got the agenda, so I will post it to our city website. So anybody who would like to have the website address for the remote. And so please listen in.
Okay.
Yep. Any other further, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make that motion.
Rob
I'll
makes,
second it.
Sherry seconds. All in favor of adjourning at 9:04 PM, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
We're adjourning at 8:00.
All right. Meeting adjourned.